Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another session of Jessalyn Crusade Season 2. This fine evening, we set our scene deep within the bowels of the La Sombre Domain, or the so-called La Sombre Domain now that the prince who decreed all of these domains belong to all of these respective clans is now dead. Technically, there is no domain left. Nonetheless, La Sombra have been in possession of the merchants district for quite some time and have secured it very well. As such, a meeting is to be held between a very prominent ancestor, the Seneschal of one city, for now, the so-called Seneschal of Edessa. Again, without a prince, there is no court. And so, as we'll begin this scene, as Madelain is making her way to the area where she is to meet the Seneschal.
Indeed she is. She is alone tonight. No ghouls with her, no Torvald. She is alone. But she is also doing her best to be unseen tonight. For more than one reason. She has, of course, let Utria, her ghouls, know that she is doing several things. Tonight, one of them is a meeting that she will be going to. So they know, but yeah, she's wearing one of her dark cloaks, covering herself up, and making her way to the agreed upon place. Is this his normal haven, or is this a meeting place?
The meeting place is one of the many stores that dot the merchants district.
Okay.
Looks to be how to say a general goods provider. Sells odds and ends, useful tools, this sort of thing. Nothing sort of like the store that Omar Shadid runs in the bazaar, but a bit less lavish and sells less valuable goods.
Okay.
More down to earth, more practical.
Madelain will enter. Probably a couple of people outside. Just not at all guards of any sort. Just watching. She will enter. We'll just maybe nod to one of them. And yeah, if she sees the Seneschal, she will. Well, I don't know if how many stories are here, but if she comes in and sees the Seneschal, she will do a very deep courtesy.
So, when you decide to head on in, you do see the Seneschal himself. He's in an again in the it's a fairly small area, just a place for secret meeting. It's a back room with multiple chairs and a couple tables, but nothing else in particular. He he bids you to rise. He's not sitting on anything particularly lavish. He's literally just sitting on one end of the table. And he's not particularly well dressed. He seems to be dressed in fairly practical gear.
Madelain is wearing her armor. Again, seems odd, but
He definitely sticks out.
normally, yes. Although she has been covering herself up with a cloak, so it's not visible, but she does take it off and just nods to him and just says, "Good evening. It is very good to see you again." A lot has happened. I have quite a few concerns I wish to discuss with you. First of all, Joanna is talk of infernalists. Now that we know of two, I wish to hear, I wish to learn exactly what deal was made, well, with Margot. Or was it you or the sheriff who had some sort of control over her? Since the sheriff is now no longer with us, this could present a quite genuine problem.
He just kind of waits for you to go through your list of things.
In an addendum, it was quite clear that Joanna was controlled beyond what would be assumed normal, even for one of our kind. This means that there might be a possibility that a blood bond or such would not be able to contain the demon if it assumed to take control of Margot once more. Maybe not even torpor would stop it. This is a thing we must discuss. Other than that, I am quite certain that a person of your stature would be able to assume the princedom if you wished. I would not presume to have the right to know of your plans, of course, but we cooperate, Timoran and Edessa, and I would assist you in whatever way I can. I, however, would wish to know if that is not what is going to happen. Who will take the princedom? And how would we support them? Or rather, are there some we should not support? And the fourth point of contention is, well, fourth out of five, is the Scourge is still among us. Can he be trusted, or should that position be, in time, given to someone else to further allegiances? Reasons for and against. And fifth, the state of my current student, Torvald, and Clan Gangrel in general. These are the things I wish to discuss. Of course. As much as is allowed, of course.
You speak of many unknowns, many what-ifs. The princedom's fate is yet to be decided upon. There are two clear options available to us. Either we can seize it ourselves, or we can negotiate with this outsider bourgeois. We have been aware of quite some time of interference in the affairs of the state, it would appear that he is the one responsible for them. Although I hold nothing against the man in particular.
I must ask, is this related to the group that the now departed sheriff sent several neonates on? Or is this another group?
I believe it is the one that the sheriff wished to directly oppose.
I see.
However, we have little to fear from this would-be conqueror due to our allegiances with other clans. It is unlikely he would be able to take the city with the strength of his own will.
But with our support, he would not have any trouble with it.
The
And we
city
would
may
be
as
able
well be
to,
his.
and we would be able to, well, what shall we say, provide the right counsel at any time we wish so.
We would be able to dictate how his court is set, who
Indeed.
resides upon it, etc.
Well, if we assume that the tactician, the wishing woman, and whoever is behind him have had their way with our city and left for good, taking the princedom might not be such a bad idea, but if there's already support for someone else brewing within the city, and we are able to dictate quite much with this Ruja, perhaps it is a quite valid option to have someone else be the prince.
We would still retain the power we once had before. It would be nothing more than a continuation of the status quo on our end.
Mm. Do you favor any of them? One more than the other? Or
I have not met this Bruja, so I could not say. If he proves uncooperative, obviously we'll be forced to wage war and destroy him. However, it is not in my interest to allow such a scenario to occur. It would not be in the clan's interests.
very well.
War is an event best avoided in any circumstance. As for the Ravnos, a scourge like myself yet lives. I attempted to save the prince from his fate. I was too late to save the sheriff. However, I could not arrive in time to save the prince. I could only prevent these two figures from raging further destruction. Even that was an event that did not go as planned.
Such
However,
is the ways of war. Unpredictability that has a tendency to give the wrong outcomes.
I cannot say one way or the other if they have remained. I would assume that they have, for one's own safety.
Hmm. Do you wish to meet this Bruja yourself, or should I facilitate a meeting beforehand?
I will be holding a conclave where all are welcome and free to bring up issues of importance. So long as they do not do so in a violent manner.
That would be most unbecoming.
Should they do so, they will of course be destroyed. Without a princeton, we can't risk having any diplomatic incidents in such a delicate time.
Of course not.
As for your student, I must admit I have no idea why you take it on, relative to its sire's value. She's far more valuable.
But
Can
it
I ask
is.
why, in particular, you decided to?
Do you know of my road?
You have not hidden it.
No, I haven't. It is but one of the tenets of my road. The more a person has suffered, the lower they are, potentially the more they can teach. One has to look for it, and I will admit that from other people's perspective, I can see the absurdity of this, but, well, the roads, our beasts, are quite personal, in my honest opinion. Therefore, some of the choices I make has befuddled many, and I understand completely. If one follows another road, my actions might seem bizarre, but for my road, it makes all the sense.
Roads are complicated matters, as you say, best left to the individual to resolve. I have no real grudge or disparagement for the vast majority of roads that exist in the world, including your own.
I thank you. I am not always so fortunate.
Do not thank me, I have paid you no compliment. What other matters would you like to discuss? You spoke of the Toreador and entanglement with infernalism. I should note to you that the Primogen will be leaving soon, leaving a position of keeper open. She's recommended Gerard for the role. I intend to prevent such an event prevent him from procuring such a position.
Ah,
Fortunately, this lack of a leadership provides an opportunity for myself to do so.
for you to present a more valuable candidate
Indeed.
for the city. And just what kind of control do you hold over Margot? I wonder.
She is bound.
Well, that makes me a lot more calm. I was not sure if it was you or the sheriff who had held her reins, shall we say.
What is it that you wished for her?
Well, within a span of 10 minutes, when I spoke to Margot, no, I am, sorry, Johanna, in her haven, in a span of 10 minutes, perhaps a little bit more, perhaps a little bit less, the demon was able to take full control over her. It's clear now that she had a deal with the demon, as well as Margot had. My problem is, if someone makes a deal with a demon, it can take complete control over them. What is to say that it cannot do the same with Margot, a person we think we have fully in control, fully under us way, suddenly breaks it through the infernalistic means of a demon taking her form. That would be quite a troubling development. I know next to nothing of demons, but I have seen their power firsthand a couple of times now. I meant to speak to you of a more potential permanent solution. But if she is involved in direct plans, perhaps to replace the Keeper,
She's not going to be replacing anyone other than to become perhaps the primogen of her clan.
Perhaps an even better prospect. Ulrich, your grandchild, would have her killed as soon as possible.
An understandable solution to the problem she presents. You have a valid point in her unpredictability as an asset to our clan. What is your take on the matter?
Well, if a demon is can take that firm control over someone, what is to say that they cannot disregard other powers of the blood? I think it is a liability that should at least be considered very firmly, but honestly, the prospect of having a primogen of another clan under the sway of ours is potentially so valuable we cannot forego that opportunity.
Outside of her uses to our clan, she is nothing else than an enjoyable diversion. Yes, if we could avoid her execution, it would be preferred. But if the experts in the matters of infernalism and demonology, as I am not one, suggest that she is too dangerous as an asset, then I will defer to their greater knowledge on the matter. It will be a sad and troublesome loss for us as a clan within the city. But better that than be tied to infernalism.
Quite so.
We cannot risk being destroyed from within by such a force.
Indeed not. If she is to die, would we consign her soul to the hell?
So what did he say? Does she say? Consign her.
Consign her soul to hell. She's not saying that she might want to taste, but, well, he would know that that would probably be an indication of, is anyone going to eat her? Like, all of her? That's kind of what she's going for. But she didn't say it. She's just asking if we're just going to let her soul go and to whatever fate it's going, or we're going to do something else. That's essentially what she's asking.
I'm sure there's nothing suspicious there.
Of course not. There are some who would. I know Ulrich. But I know quite a few people would consider it almost a sin to let his soul be ensnared by the demons fully. The question is, do we consider alternative means, like the salubri, to help her soul be unbound from whatever pact she made? Do
The
we?
Salubri. It's generally the warriors who deal with Kenites when such a issue occurs.
And they are not on speaking terms with us.
They are not on speaking terms with anyone, not even their own healers, it would appear to be now. They appear to have consigned themselves to being a relic of the past and nothing more.
So if we cannot get their help, there are those who would say that perhaps destroying her soul would be better to give it to infernal powers, but such a suggestion would be, of course, criminal.
Keep in mind, while if a soul is not taken to hell, then there will be those who wish to collect on an unpaid debt, including the fact that to absorb such corruption is to take it into oneself.
Madelain just looks at him. Truly, it would transcend from one to another. Madelain, actually, she's not hiding it. She looks not ashamed, but she looks frightened and just seems to process certain things. And she just says, if the knowledge was not so dangerous, I would love to know more about these deals.
I'm not a scrupulous man, but to
It is worthy
absorb the soul of another, one which has become tainted, does risk damning the receiving soul. This, of course, ignoring the very act itself and the risks that come with.
I have never done it and hope never to do it.
He looks unconvinced, considering you basically asked if you could.
Yeah. But she just, he would also, like, not rolling, like, Madelain might be good at hiding it, but he knows. It's not necessarily about the power. It's not necessarily about, like, it's something more, there's something else there. That it's like he picks up that it isn't necessarily like, it's almost more important to destroy Margot than it is to deopolize her, but it's just maybe a feeling of just doing the maximum amount of like the worst thing to her. But like he begins to pick up that there's something else there. Like it's just like not anger, but like in a moment of spite almost.
It's also against your word.
It is. Like I said,
doesn't really react either way. I mean, this is maybe he picks something up, maybe he doesn't. He doesn't have.
So we consign her soul.
This is not telepathy, so He doesn't
So
necessarily.
we consign her soul to hell. If this is our course, we'll enter. I suppose you cannot. It cannot be helped, especially against such powers.
It appears the entity that has harassed her for much of her own life has been attempting ritualistic behaviors within her haven. She has prevented it so far.
So it is still present.
It would appear so. Now, what is it attempting to do, I am not entirely certain how it may be wise to move her on a more permanent basis away from her current haven and destroy the old one.
Quite. Seeing some of the things that Joanna was capable of when possessed, it fills me with growing unease that these things are present in our city. But I know that I am not alone. Everyone should be worried, of course.
So they should be. We have been making progress. It is more a matter of piecing together what exactly this creature wants to do, more so than anything else. I believe the fear of your prince and myself is that it is tied, or has tied itself in some way to Mary the Black. Being both creatures of the infernal, it would only be natural for them to turn to each other.
Very troubling indeed. But your grandchild there is quite proficient in fighting them, and I will be by his side. I would like to say that I will begin to use my influence within the common folk to begin to begin to return the merchants district to its former glory, begin to, in earnest, remove the taint of the plague, making things easier for our clan, at least for the foreseeable future.
It is likely now that this tactician and his accomplice have made their play. The plague may well begin to slow down in severity. The timing is convenient. But I would not stop you from engaging in your task. In fact, I very much encourage it.
I will proceed with it. But another thing, my student and his sire. She is a powerful woman, but she is also has him bound to her will.
I am aware. Oh, that's not what I wanted. But the shell has disappeared.
Or it's just dark. It's just shadow.
That obfuscated though, bro.
Yeah. Or obsceneration. Take your pick. No. And she just said, "Well, I wish to have him fully under me without having the what shall we call it? Constant inclination to serve someone who is not from our clan. This presents a problem." I have come to a temporary agreement with her, but not a
Yes.
permanent one.
I believe she owes you a significant debt. Perhaps if we once she is uplifted, perhaps I can have that negated for you as a service provided by the clan on your behalf.
Hmm. Well, I merely think the more direct control we have, the better. Especially with all of this uncertainty.
What is it that you wish of my beloved Aurelia?
I wish for the blood bond between them to end.
For what purpose? What is in a far more malleable position, bound to her, than unbound.
Do you have a suggestion?
What is it that this Torvald desires? Perhaps there is a way in which we can meet both our goals.
He wishes to be free and serve me without ever using dominate and without ever feeding him blood.
Then he wishes to take you for a fool.
Oh, he will be bound to me before long. But that cannot happen as long as a blood bond is in place. Well, it is a minor concern.
Alas, perhaps it is something I shall consider, but I shall not guarantee anything.
Very
Deceive
well.
you.
It is a on the in the grand scheme of things, it is a very little concern for the both of us. It is but a little nuisance to have a servant with a liability, but I suppose there is liabilities in everything in this world.
As the Lady Aurelia is bound to myself, should any matter arise, I shall inform you. The last thing I want, of course, is
I did not know that she was bound to you.
hmm,
Well, if that is the case, then I do believe that this matter is less relevant. That eases my mind quite a bit.
she is
Quite beauty,
figure of respect.
and that as well. Well, for the moment, I do believe we can forget about that particular subject.
Of
This
course.
pleases me.
I am glad you are so relieved. Of course, I sincerely hope that this is a matter that remains between us.
Of course.
She lie?
She is not intending to say this to anyone, so no, she's not lying.
Okay, fair enough. Just making sure.
Yeah, that's totally fine. Like, I also had to think about it for like a couple of seconds. So,
Because this character at this point may as well have enough dice to be considered to have the earful eyes power. Because, yep.
yeah.
May as well at this point.
Yeah, like, but no, she does not intend to share this information.
Mhm. You say you've been entering or have investments within the common folk of the city.
Quite so.
Worthwhile cause, for it is an area where the rest of the clan has fewer stakes in, which was actually something I wish to discuss with you, and something one other of our clan wished to discuss with you.
Oh?
I believe she shall be here shortly.
Hmm.
But while we are waiting, what is it in particular that you would desire from your newfound control among the many men and women of the city? Mutual aid benefits us all, of course. And I'd also like to establish areas in which we would not get in each other's way. Not boundaries and rules per se, but a line of communication.
Hmm. A very understandable thing. I do believe that we can come to some agreement. Well, we would have to have very trusted couriers, but I do.
That I can provide.
I have, just as the very unfortunate events of the palace, I moved my haven. I will provide you with the location where letters should be sent, and I believe we can come to an agreement. As to my goals, well, mainly I wish to stabilize this city as soon as possible following the plague. It has cost our clan and everyone else quite a lot. The faster we establish some sense of normality among the people, reduce the panic, and all such things, the less people will be afraid to go out during the night.
Hmm.
The easier it will be to feed, and the less hunters will be likely to look our way.
The Sombra and the Venture have largely stabilized their domains at this point, but you are correct. It is in
We
the
do not
midst of
need.
this crisis which has allowed the hunters to rise and become too prevalent. Once the
Indeed.
conclave you, we will address the matter of the hunters permanently.
That is good to hear. But as far as I know, they can come. Other hunters can arrive. We should not give them any reason to come. And that
Yeah.
means stabilizing the city as soon as possible, in my humble opinion.
And while it is true that these hunters exist in the town of Erila, also I'm concerned that that is not all of them. In fact, if they have any degree of intelligence at all, they will likely have planted themselves elsewhere.
Most
After
likely.
all, the military has its own checkpoints, and if they treat themselves as such, then we should be prepared for that even when we have dealt with the main bulk of the threat, that there will always be remnants.
Mm. And we intend to handle them with mortal agents. I remember the first time we dealt with hunters in Edessa after I arrived. I do not intend to be in very close proximity to them.
The best way to close them down is through their own influences, and slowly erase their own influence so that they become outcasts within the very society to which they call home.
Hmm.
Then, once they are at their weakest point, we may simply finish them off.
Hmm.
Many
Perhaps if
remain unslain, can
Madelain
meet
just
other fates such as imprisonment or
Madelain,
execution at the hands of mortals, our own powers.
Madelain, for her part, just sits for a moment. Perhaps at some point, the local populace, the commoners, would learn of dark rituals taking place in that city not far from here.
Potentially, but from what I hear, it is a town of, or a place of unnatural conviction. That may be a
Hmm.
route we are best set avoiding for now. It
I understand.
may, I doubt it will prove effective. It may even, it may even invert itself on us in the worst of ways. Human faith is an enigma. It's mystical in nature, yet it cannot be defined under the definition of what we consider to be magical, such as blood sorcery, or our own unique talents of abyss mysticism. It appears
Hmm.
to exist as its own separate entity that, for us as creatures of the night, remains perilous and difficult to grasp at. Seems to defy understanding, which is not something I'm tolerant towards.
We will find a solution.
I'm sure you shall. Of course, the most permanent solution will be the destruction of this so-called martyr.
Hmm. There are plenty of ways to do so.
Hmm.
Hopefully. But, well, if we deal with these hunters, and if we then stabilize the city further, my goals are to make certain that our grasp on this city is as tight as it can be in all layers of society. If you desire, I can have this influence in certain areas of the city and relinquish some to you, if that is what you wish. I would. We will draw lines, perhaps. I do not know, but I am
I
certain
have
we can come to an arrangement.
many, many investments as it stands. However, I would like to aid you on your own, so that it may benefit the clan as a whole. I understand the religious institutions are not to your tastes, and you already have connections to the common men of the city, so perhaps we could instead leverage this with other spheres of power.
Hmm.
However, I will provide you with details on this later. Perhaps during one of our many correspondences which are to now ensue.
Very well. Madelain smiles, just nods.
As you kind of say thank you as a knock on the door. it should be noted there's been a ghoul in here this entire time. I apologize for not mentioning that earlier, but yes, there is a ghoul there. Only one. Basically a servant, and he will get the door. Lady Katharina enters.
Madelain will greet her with a curtsy, of course, with all the respect afforded, of course.
She gives a curtsy to you all, one that is very, very deep. Of course, once she curtsies to you and then does a much larger curtsy towards the Seneschal. So much that you could almost consider it kneeling in a way. This is the one I spoke of who wished to discuss matters of control among the mortal populace with you. I shall leave you to discuss the matter if it is quite all right. I have a conclave to plan and many other matters to engage with before the princedom is decided.
Of course. Have a very good evening.
Thank you. I appreciate our discussion and your words. He will bow to you in acknowledgement, and will leave with his ghoul. I'm just going to AFK real quick. I'll be right back.
Intermission! This is intermission music. Shift in tone, shift in tone. Intermission music. Blah 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 blah. And that's enough intermission music for now. Time. Am I evil? Yes, I am. Yeah, just for the intermission music, we'll just do a little thing. Just so we know. Am I evil? Yes, I am. Am I evil? I am man. Dang, 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 dang. Metal. What the word metal? Metal.
Metal. Vegeta. Anyway,
And that's the stop of the intermission.
glorious. My apologies for that. Lady Katarina, as the Seneschal leaves, Lady Katarina kind of stares at him as he goes, and the door shuts. Just stares for a second at the door before turning to you. Good evening, Lady Madelain. I apologize for my tardiness.
Think nothing of it. It is wonderful to see you again.
Likewise. As the Seneschal is busy on many matters, he has left me to coordinate the organization of our many different. She doesn't think for as long as I do because I'm bad. To coordinate the acquisition maintenance of our many mortal spheres.
Quite so. As you know, I have a little pull in the commerce of the city and quite a lot in the common people. But a bit of coordination should be done as to ensure that we have as tight a control as we want of this city.
I myself am one of the more influential members of my clan and often manage the affairs of the Seneschal when he is not in a position to do so himself. I have many ties to the nobility in the watch and some odd ends among the trading sectors of the city. I wish that I might be able to coordinate these with your current influences, and perhaps I might be able to help you establish some of your own in separate areas. If nothing else, I can prevent mine from getting in your way.
That would be most beneficial to the both of us. I assume that there is a map, well, a sort of a map over the city.
Yeah, it was one of the things the Seneschal just left.
All right. Madeleine will just look at it and just say, well, I am open for, well, whatever makes things the easiest for all of us. I do believe She looks for a moment as she looks down at the map, and she'll just say, "Well, honestly, what concerns me a little bit more is what the Ventru and those Tremere have and what they will do. What will they do in all this turmoil? It has been not keeping me awake during the day, but it has given me a little concern, I must say, but I apologize. This is not what we should be discussing." And I do believe that the two will just spend some time looking at the map
Yeah.
and begin to Debbie things up.
Yeah. Whether you want to end the scene there or not is entirely up to you.
Yeah, this will take some time, but I do believe that the scene will come to a close at this point.
In which case, we will end the scene there. Thank you, player for playing. Thank you all just watching. We'll see you next time.